week as we are going to be honoring veterans for Veterans Day, but every meeting that we start at the chamber, we do with the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to ask you to please rise, and more than ever, to really think about those 31 words that make our Pledge of Allegiance so powerful. So if you join with me, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I would like to, at this time, go around the room for self-introductions. And what we're going to do is pass the microphone to you, and you have about, this is a very short introduction, so I'm going to give you an example. You're going to give your name and the company name. So I'm Bobby Spiegel. I'm President and CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce, and as Stacy introduces herself, she will be our entrepreneur next month, along with her husband. So please welcome Stacy.
Hi, I'm Stacy Bass from Boost Training and Bass Education. Good morning.
Good morning, I'm James Owens, CEO and founder of leadership consulting firm Dare to Dream. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Ashley Saracosa, Economic Development Administrator for the City of Corona.
Mark Allert with Thrivent. Good morning.
I'm Bill Steinkirchner. Sandy Klein, realtor with RE/MAX Partners.
Good morning, Rebecca Branson with Cal Auto Registration.
Good morning, Tammy Harwick with the Corona Chamber of Commerce.
I'm Alvin Ayusa from Just for Kids Preschool.
Good morning, I'm Andy Anderson, financial advisor from Edward Jones.
Good morning, I'm Neil Sarver, mentor with SCORE.
Good morning, my name is Joe Ciancio, retired. They give a lot of good vacation in that company, retired. And I've been in Corona for 42 years, so I've seen the growth and all the good work that Bobby and the group has done.
Good morning, I'm Buzz Brown. I'm also retired, trying to stay retired, but I'm currently serving as a pastor on the staff for Bedford Community Church recently.
Morning, I'm Manny Ortega, President and owner of Merchant Medic Payment Solutions.
Good morning, I'm Dawn Schoenbein, agent for Colonial Life.
Hello, my name is Matthew Gutierrez, Area Development Manager for Colonial Life.
Good morning, Paul Binta Badesha with Express Employment Professionals and the Corona Chamber of Commerce.
Hi, Donna Dacier from the Assistant League of Riverside.
Good morning, Kim Maybon, owner of Creative by Design and current chairman of the board for the Chamber of Commerce.
Morning, Dwayne Ellingson's my name and I'm retired.
Good morning, Robert Yanes, Corona Chamber of Commerce.
Well, thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause. And Anthony, if you'd go ahead and introduce yourself.
Get in front of the camera so everyone sees you. Anthony Maldonado, Programs Coordinator here at the Corona Chamber.
Check out his beard. Last week he's going to have that, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. So, well, welcome everyone, and I just want to say thank you and welcome to the Chamber. Hopefully today after the talk that you may have heard someone's name or the company and you say, wow, I want to do business with them, or I've got a lead for them, or whatever. We do networking here, and so we encourage you to go ahead and kind of hone in and afterwards visit with those individuals. In front of you, you have the most recent issue of the Corona Business News. This comes out 6 times a year. We encourage you to go ahead and take that copy. If you'd like extra copies, we have those for you, and there is advertising available in that publication. I did want to have you get social a little bit, and if you can, do the hashtags. So people that are my age or older, that would be the # sign, and then you go ahead and type in these words, Corona Chamber, or hashtag Corona Rocks, and if you would do that, that would be really good. This Thursday is Veterans Day, and can I have all the veterans, anyone that has served in the military, if you could please stand, let's give you some love and say thank you so much for serving. Thank you so much. And each each of you as veterans are invited Friday morning. We have our Good Morning Corona breakfast, and it will be all about you, all about the veterans, all about the reservists, people that are in the active duty, to say thank you and God bless you guys for protecting our freedoms and for doing everything that you did while you were in the service, and then as you continue to be great citizens in our community. Everyone else that is not a veteran or has not served, we encourage you to still come to our Good Morning Corona breakfast. And you see it on the slide over here, and you can register there. Veterans can register, and when it goes in there, it'll ask if you're a veteran, or you can just put down veteran, and then there's no charge for you to attend. We have just shy of 200 people at this time that are scheduled to attend, so we would encourage you to go ahead and register no later than tomorrow so we can give the food count to Eagle Glen Golf Club. There is a travel flyer that's going to pop up here, and for those of you, I know Joe said, hey, have you been doing much traveling? And I think it was Joe, maybe it was Dale that asked about travel, but here we got a couple of different 9-day tours. One is on February 21st, and the other one is on May 3rd to Egypt and also to Dubai. Dubai is the one, I believe, that is going to be in, I don't know which one is which, so I'm guessing Dubai is going to be the one in February.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So for details, you can contact Desiree Ramirez, our vice president. And by the way, it's her birthday today. She does not want us to sing happy birthday here, but afterwards we'll go on over there and just flood the area and give her our love on that. So December 18th, we have a big event coming on up, and it's the College Bowl. You'll see it up on the screen. And this is a great opportunity for those that have not seen the SoFi Stadium yet to go there. And it is a College Bowl competition, and it's going to be a great, great day. The game starts at 4:30, but the gates open at 1:30. And if you want to attend, we've got tickets, and they're reasonably priced, as low as $40. And with that, you can also help a nonprofit be able to do some great activities and be able to secure some funding. So when we sell 400 tickets to that, Anthony's beard comes off. And so this is self-serving because he wants to get rid of the beard, kind of, maybe. And so we want you to buy tickets. And when you do, again, it helps the nonprofits that are in there. So our next, our next Coffee with the Entrepreneur, as I mentioned, Stacy will be our speaker, along with her husband, and they own Boost Training. And she was going to go ahead and take about 10 minutes and do some exercises and some stuff today with you, but I encouraged her not to do that. Actually, she wasn't going to do that at all, but we're so excited she's here today, and she'll be sharing some great, great tidbits next month, and that will be on December 13th. And lastly, on these announcements, before I bring up our partner in this sponsorship, is our signed books. We've got 2 different authors that are local that have written some amazing books, and these are great stocking stuffers. Chad Willardson, who spoke here as a Coffee with the Entrepreneur, as well as Elijah, Stacy, they both have written books. They're available for $19.99 on Amazon, so they're $21.74 if you buy them through us with no other addition. But if you buy 2 books, and you can order 2 of each or 2 of one of one, whatever, quantities of 2, they're $35, including sales tax and everything. So if you'd like to, you can log on to our site and purchase those, or see Tricia outside. So I would like to introduce our partner. I mentioned earlier that this is a partnership with the City of Corona, and we're very fortunate to have Ashley Zaragoza, who is with the City of Corona Economic Development. She's an administrator there, and she's going to share a few items of what the city has going. So Ashley, come on up. Make her feel welcome.
Thank you so much, Bobby. So good morning, everyone. As Bobby mentioned, I'm the Economic Development Administrator for the City of Corona. There are a variety of initiatives that are coming out, and we wanted to get your attention on these. But first and foremost, I definitely want to also acknowledge the veterans. My father is actually a veteran, was in the Navy. So absolutely, thank you, Bobby. So absolutely want to acknowledge all the men and women who served and continue to serve this country. It's very important to me and my household, and I know for the City of Corona. So thank you for that. In addition, we have a couple of plans that we're developing. So the first is an economic development strategic plan. You may have heard some are coming out if you're part of the economic development newsletter. But in addition, we're trying to connect with Corona residents, and that includes, of course, businesses. So with this, we're working with a consultant to understand what is economically viable, what encourages investment here, what's going to encourage expansion and growth for existing businesses, what's going to bring the workforce needs that you guys have. So we do have an active survey. If you're interested, I can definitely connect you with the listserv and how we provide that survey. But you can also go to the Facebook site for the City of Corona. We've been posting it there, our website. Maybe send it over to Bobby and team so that we can disseminate that information. But in addition to that, we're also creating a downtown revitalization plan. So what we consider the downtown and hope to be the true destination is going to be off of Main and 6, surrounded and encompassed by Grand Boulevard. So with that said, we're looking at creating a thriving and vibrant destination, creating a sense of place. So there are surveys. We're actually going to develop a website that we plan to launch next week. And this is, again, we're connecting with local residents, but also businesses, future investors, developers, making sure that we're understanding what's going to create that downtown local economy. So with that said, we're also hosting a community event. So it's going to be a stakeholder meeting in which we're inviting the community next Thursday, November 18th, and I'll share that flyer. But it's going to be from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. We're going to have it hybrid. So if you can join us at the council chambers, that would be great, at City Hall. And if not, then we also have a Zoom link that we're sharing. So we really want to get your voice. We're absolutely working with our consultants and looking at all the data analytics behind the things that we're doing and making that data-driven decision making. But your voice is crucial. Without us hearing from the people, we're not going to know what you need. And we want to make sure you're involved now in that planning process, so we're not, a year and so on, because it's an ongoing process, and only then hearing what the community has to say. So we're also going to partner with the chamber to actually host an event as well, where we're going to bring our consultants to talk to you. So also keep an ear out for that, because again, we do not want to miss out on the business community in creating these plans. So that concludes my segment. Thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for the partnership as always, Bobby.
Thank you. It's always important to be able to have partners like the City of Corona, and we're very fortunate that they attend these events, that they want us to continue to do these types of things for the business community. And as Ashley stated, we're going to have a business-focused meeting with them on that strategic plan, and all the information will be shared, and you guys will be able to talk. It'll be here sometime in January. We're just finalizing the dates so that you guys will be able to have an opportunity to be able to have your voice heard. So at this time, I am so excited to be able to bring up our guest entrepreneur. I've known Bill for a number of years. We're in the same Rotary Club. It's the Circle City Rotary Club. He does so much. Oh, go ahead, Mark. The organization does a lot for the community, but I so appreciate what Bill has done. And I just want to put a plug in for anyone that would like to attend on Wednesday night. There's a dual county presentation called The Spirit of the Entrepreneur. And Bill is one of the 4 from Corona that's being recognized that night as a finalist. So let's give him a round of applause. And if you'd like to obtain some of those tickets, come see me. We do have some still left in the block that we had secured.
Can we also mention that Bobby Seagull is also a finalist in a different category?
Thank you, Paul. I'll pay you later. So Ollie, that handles all the marketing for the Dos Lagos properties up there, he is one of the finalists, and Chad Willardson, who owns Pacific Capital and is our elected city treasurer, he is also one of the finalists. So it's pretty exciting to have 4 different businesses or individuals being recognized that night. So Bill is the founder and co-owner of Stone Church Brewing. When I had talked with his wife years ago and I found out that she finally gave in to his dream and desire to create this, she says, I don't know what I got myself into, but she will tell you today that her wisest decision was to marry Bill, because he is a visionary and he has really created quite a business. In fact, they now have a 3rd facility that has just opened, correct? It's opened?
Hopefully in a couple weeks.
Hopefully. Well, that's because it's not in Corona. If it was in Corona, it would already be open. open. So the one in Temecula's open, right? And the one in Riverside will open soon, okay? So he manages the daily operations, sales, marketing, charity fundraising, and all the financial and administrative matters regarding the brewery. He is a retired Army colonel. He had the distinction of serving on the Pentagon's Joint Staff as Deputy Chief of Staff for the First Corps and a combat tour in Iraq in 2004-2005. Bill's passion is very evident for veterans and the community service, which led him to establish this most recent event, Amber Waves of Green Craft Beer Festival. It just celebrated its 6th year, and it was packed and it was beautifully done. Through this festival, he has raised and distributed over $150,000 to over 40 veteran nonprofit organizations. He's an incredible individual. He's going to share all the tidbits from the brewery side of things, from the military and working with the veterans associations, all the different things that there may be little nuggets that you will walk away with from today. I would be honored if you would show total respect for this gentleman who to me is an American hero. As he comes up, if you'd stand and give him a round of applause. Please welcome Bill Steinkirchner.
Thanks, Bobby. That's quite the introduction. I think you were talking about somebody else, but go ahead. Stand up here in place. I don't have really a set agenda. I woke up this morning not realizing what I was really going to speak about. Couple things. I'd like to, of course, thank each and every one of you guys for being here this morning. I know we're all have a lot on our plate, and a lot of things to do, and busy. And thank all the veterans here. And obviously, without the veteran, we're successful because those that didn't serve support us as well. So it's actually a very humbling experience when somebody comes up and thanks the veterans. So thank you guys that support all of us that have served in the military. And then I want to thank Bobby and the Chamber and the city for inviting me to come up here and speak. This is my second time, I believe, in 4 years. And then, of course, I wouldn't be up here speaking and being where I'm at today without my wife and my family, especially my wife, Melanie. So actually, I'm the lucky one that won the lottery. So thanks, Melanie. She's probably not watching. She's out working out somewhere. Anyways, just to give you a little background about myself, I was born in Roswell, New Mexico. Yes. At Walker Air Force Base. Both my parents are Air Force vets, so they both retired from the Air Force. My dad was active duty. My mother was reservist. She actually was a higher rank than he was, but then, of course, being an officer, I was higher than them. The first military person to salute me was my mother, so in uniform, and then I actually gave her the silver coin when I retired 23 years later. I forgot to give it to her that day. So there's a tradition where you give the first NCO a silver coin. So she finally got that. So I did 23 years in the military. I'd have to say that my best experience was being a lieutenant. I was fortunate to be stationed in Germany and have 5 platoons, which is unheard of for a lieutenant. And then going up through the ranks, made colonel in 20 years and then retired in 23. And then being on the Joint Staff in the Pentagon, I was there as the Deputy Director for Anti-Terrorism and Homeland Defense. So whenever you see big sporting events like the Super Bowl, you see the presidential inauguration, the Special Olympics, anything dealing with hurricanes, that's what my office did. So I had 4 colonels that worked for me, anywhere from the Coast Guard to the Air Force. Even fortunate enough that the military escorts that the president needs to fly Air Force One, to fly Air Force One has to go across my desk. I joked a couple times I wasn't going to sign it, but I did. The general panicked, but he was okay with it. So then retired in 2014, actually did about 6 months of junior RTC. But before I retired, I started brewing about a year before I retired. And in my backyard, started brewing IPAs. I'm an IPA lover, and decided to try an IPA that was hoppy but not bitter. And that's kind of how I got into it. I've been going and visiting breweries for over 30 years. So I've probably been to about 3,000 breweries around the world. So you name it, anywhere from Korea to Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia. They actually have a microbrewery there. So, which was pretty unique. So my love of craft beer runs very, very deep. When I plan going to cities, keeps cutting out. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong or.
I think if you hold it at the bottom there.
Here?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Okay, I'm not a microphone person, but I think because of Facebook. Anyway, so it runs very deep. I do, believe it or not, when I visit, I try and visit every microbrewery within a specific distance. You know, if I'm by myself, of course I'll go to one or two. This thing is killing me.
No, we're adjusting.
Okay. Testing. 1, 2. Okay. I think so.
Okay.
All right. So I will visit every brewery I can. So that's how I've gotten about 30,000. And I don't count the breweries I've been to already. These are completely separate breweries. So it's become a great hobby and a great interest to see what other breweries are doing, what style of beers are out there, and what's the latest and the newest trends. And then, you know, of course, there's some breweries I go to and I go, wow, how come I'm not making this beer? Because some of these beers are fantastic. And of course, there's a lot of breweries out there that you go, wow, I'm glad they're not in my neighborhood because, woo. So, given that, it was not, to be honest, it wasn't a dream. It wasn't anywhere in my future I was going to open up a brewery. When I retired from the military, about 10 years into retirement, I started thinking, okay, what am I going to be doing? I figured, I'll just do junior ROTC, go get an educational degree and doctorate, and then move up through the ranks on that. And then lo and behold, I started brewing, and you know, here we are 6, 7 years later, as Bobby said, getting ready to open up our third location in downtown Riverside, which was actually going to be a bistro. We opened up Corona in 2015, I believe, about 6 years ago. I had no idea, you know, most breweries, I don't know, has everybody here been to a brewery? Yes. Okay, everybody here, I assume, loves beer, except maybe Sandy. Just kidding, she loves the mango passion.
I like yours.
Yeah. But most breweries in California are actually located in industrial areas, and that's where we thought we were going to be. Then I started working with the city, and they recommended Dos Lagos, and of course I laughed, and I said, there's no way I can afford Dos Lagos. And they're like, no, you can, they'll make you a deal. Well, they made me a deal 6 years ago, but that deal has since it goes up and up. But we're still there. We just signed, actually, a few months ago, we signed a 7-year lease to be in Dos Lagos. So we are going to be there for a while. We are vested in Corona because it is the one that gave us our first chance and our first go. So as we grow, we will grow with Corona, even though we're having satellite tasting rooms everywhere. We opened up our second location about 2.5 years after opening up Corona. We're actually in Old Town Temecula, right in the middle of Front Street from arch to arch. And then we managed to secure a location on the pedestrian zone right across from the Mission Inn in downtown Riverside. And we are hopefully going to open in about a week or two. I've got a few fire corrections I need to take care of, and then we should be good to go on that. Well, with that being said, we're very. So what we do is we just pretty much invest everything we have. Both my partner Dave Barone, who's actually the master brewer, and our partner, and then my wife. So there's 3 of us that actually legally own the company. He does all the wonderful beers. Half the recipes are his, half are mine. And we're proud that we actually have a beer for everybody, is what we say. So if you're a light beer drinker all the way to a dark beer drinker, from a lager to a stout, is what we offer everybody at each of the locations. So I'd have to give a big shout out to Dave, which I forgot to do earlier, because he is a huge part and success of where we're at and the types and qualities of beers that we do. With that being said, there's a lot of things that, and I'll open it up to questions in a little bit, so I'm not hogging the mic here the entire time, because I'm not a big speaker. Unless I've had a few beers in me, then I will speak. There are things, and feel free to ask any questions. I'm very transparent on as Mark will tell you, on getting the business started, surviving that 5-year mark, which seems to hit a lot of people, and then on the growth side. We never thought in a million years we would go from being in Dos Lagos to having now a third location, and then thinking about opening and getting a building now to host a production site, because that's at the point we're at now with a small system that we do have. We're a 3.5 barrel system. So in layman's terms, we basically, when we brew, we come out with about 12 to 13 kegs, which is not a lot when you think about it, and is quite taxing on the locations that we have. It hasn't been so far with 2 locations, but with 3 it will be very taxing on us. So this is why we're looking for a place in Corona, as I mentioned to Bobby, to do that. So just to give you a little bit of background, moving forward, when we started out, like I said, I had no clue, no intention of opening up a brewery. I got a brew kit for Christmas. I think my wife had gotten it, and it was just a typical brew kit. So it just came with the ingredients, and this is how you brew. So I, brewed my first batch in a menudo pot, and didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I followed it. I'm kind of an amateur cook as well, so it really helped. The second time I brewed, it was actually my recipe and then I went to one of the local brewing supply places, Brewmore down in Riverside, got the ingredients for that, and then the third batch I actually spent a significant amount and bought all the equipment and made my own recipe. So by the third batch on, we're brewing pretty much how we brew now on a bigger scale. And every time I invited friends over, they're like, "Oh, you got to open up a brewery." And I'm like, "No, I'm just doing it for a hobby. No, you got to open up a brewery." So I blame all my friends that came over to drink all my beer for free.
And still want to drink it for free.
And still want to drink it for free. Yeah. Where I'm at right now, as far as Stone Church Brewing. And some of the recipes are actually backyard recipes that we did, like the Covenant IPA and the blonde and the red, which is what our brewer is known for. And he's gotten a couple of awards. We've only entered, as a home brewer, I entered one competition with 2 beers, and I got a gold and a bronze. So that was the only time I've entered a competition. We've entered maybe once as a professional brewery, but it's just too much of a pain in the butt to get everything packaged and shipped and gone out. So that's why we haven't really seen any medals yet. So not that we will, but we're going to try soon. Let's see. So with that, I did some research, did the business plan. Took about 18 months to do a business plan, and at that time I was actually elected to be secretary of the Inland Empire Brewers Guild. I was the only one that didn't have a brewery that was on the board, so they were pushing me to open up a brewery. Going back a little bit, what I failed to mention is I'm also serving as the 3rd year as the president of the Inland Empire Brewers Guild. Elections are tonight, so I'll be giving up that position, which will be nice because it's a lot of work. And then I'm also on the Visit Temecula Valley board, which is pretty unique because it's all wineries, and there's actually 2 of us that are breweries now that are actually on the board itself. So that's pretty nice. So did the business plan for about 18 months. And of course, the minute you open up the doors, the business plan goes in the trash because you don't even look at it again. You just, for some reason, we all do it just to try and figure out if we're doing things right. And pretty much here we are 6 years later on this. Before we open it up to the questions, there is one thing. You know, I'm also the co-founder of Amber Ways of Grain, which is very near and dear to my heart. The breweries do a lot of charity events. They support a lot of different charities, and it's really up to the brewery owner which one they're really going to focus in on. And being a veteran, of course, focusing on veterans. So this Amber Ways of Grain came out of a drunken stupor with another friend of mine who's retired Navy. Because we were looking around and like, well, everybody does this for this group, that group, and we felt that nobody really did enough for veterans. So we decided to have a small craft beer festival, and here we are 6 years later, and we raised unofficially a couple weeks ago about $75,000 for about 39. It costs about, this year was a little higher to put on. Dos Lagos doesn't charge us for the venue. They actually are one of the sponsors where they'll increase the public safety. About 12 to 13,000 to put on. So we'll be able to distribute $60,000 to the 30 nonprofits that were there. The only way a nonprofit can get any distribution is they have to be a part of the event. And the reason that is we want people to come up and say, hey, were you here last year? How much did you get? What did you use the money for? That kind of stuff. I myself am nowhere near the bank account. I don't look at it. I don't look at the financials because I'm a business owner. That's a nonprofit, and all of us on the board or on the committee are volunteers. So there is zero overhead for this event. So we are now at what, 225,000. I know Bobby said 150, but that was last year's, and now we're at 225,000 that we've raised in about 6 years. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and open the floor up to any questions.
So Bill, I'd like to just set the tone. I need you to repeat the questions so people on Facebook can hear them, okay?
So Bobby wants me to repeat the questions so everybody can hear them on Facebook.
So the first couple of questions, you wrote a business plan. Where did you get the information on that? How did you do that all together?
Okay, so the first question was, where did I get the information for the business plan? So I did a little bit of research, and there's an organization called the Brewers Association, and there's the California Craft Brewers Association, which are both guilds. One is the state guild, one is the national guild. There's a lot of resources on there, but the book that I used was written by, I think, Mary Patrigliari. I probably screwed up her name, but it was a pamphlet of about 150 pages that went step by step on everything you need to do and learn about opening up a brewery.
And then you've got experience now working with 3 different cities. I'm not going to ask you to say which one's best because we know which one's best anyway. But what are some of the tips that you can offer people as they look to expand their business, maybe get in an office, in a community? What did you go through working with the different cities?
I would have to say.
Wait, can you repeat the question?
Oh, repeat the question. Now, see, I forgot already. I haven't even had it. That's why I need a beer. So I remember things. Brought me here.
So next time we'll do beer with you on.
Beer with you. There we go. That works for me. So the question was, any tidbits, any hints, advice when you're looking to work with a city or expand into other cities. The best advice I can give is, number one, the city is key. It doesn't matter who you are. You've got to be able to have some type of connection, whatever that is, with the city. With Corona, we're pretty fortunate because our home is based here, and we knew a lot of the individuals that work on the city. They're in the council, economic development. So that really helped pave the way on doing that. So the city was very, very key on they were very, very pro brewery exponential number. They have since slowed down a little bit throughout the United States. They're still growing. But within the city, economic development is very, very key. Looking for this second location, we looked and looked and looked, and I reached out to the city, and the place that we have now in Old Town had just sold about 2 days prior, closed escrow. They gave me the name of the owner, and like an idiot, I offered him an exorbitant amount of square footage rent. Of course, I got it, and he kicked everybody else out. I should have offered him lower, but anyways, it turned out to be a great location. And then again with the city of Riverside, once again, it was economic development director, Nathan, he come out to one of the guild meetings and spoke and says, we're looking for breweries, anybody wants to come in, talk to us. That was about 2 years ago. Space came open, where we're at in downtown Riverside. Called him up, and he said right away, yes, I went out there to speak for a reason, and we want the breweries in Riverside. So the city is key. Obviously, if you know a council person, that's also key, because you are going to encounter areas of substantial, and I say that openly, resistance on the staff side. They're just following what the rules are, but it's very difficult unless you've been a business owner, how much it takes to open up a business, and then the permitting process is probably just, it's horrendous. They're all the same. Corona was the easiest because we knew everybody in Corona. Temecula took a while because I honestly didn't know anybody in Temecula, and then Riverside, knowing Nathan, helped out quite a bit. So, but there are certain steps. Like I said, we're trying to get through the fire permitting process right now. We've got a couple items to do, and we can get that done, we'll be okay.
Who's got a question? Tammy?
Why the name Stone Church Brewery?
I guess I should have said that in the beginning, huh? So, why the name Stone Church Brewing? I'm going to forget to repeat the question every time. I'm going to go like this in my head. So my last name is Steinkirchner, which is German, translated to English is Stone Church.
Oh, very cool.
So, and it's a funny story about that, because about 8 years ago, went to France with my wife, took her there, and she's kind of an amateur photographer, and I said, hey, take a bunch of pictures of churches because we're going to open up a brewery. She goes, no, we're not. And I go, yes, we are. So that went back and forth. She did take a lot of pictures of breweries, so she has since had a few of her pictures. We've got pictures of churches in the bathroom, and every once in a while those pictures will disappear, so somebody likes them.
Gentleman up front, have a question?
What role did the military play in you getting your business started?
What role did the military play in starting the business? It actually had a huge role to play. That's an actually excellent question. Unless you go in as enlisted up through the rank of E4, you're pretty much following orders. You go in as an officer, and once you make NCO, you are now considered a leader. You're not a manager by any way, shape, or form. Once you make E5 and above an officer, you are a leader, so you're expected to lead, manage, supervise, coach, mentor, you name it. With the military, there is a lot of schooling that you go through. So every rank, I can talk more on the officer side, but on the officer side, you have your initial officer basic course, which teaches you everything about how to be an officer, how to be a professional, and then how to lead soldiers and your technicality on that. And then when you get to the rank of captain, you have what they call CAS-Q, which is Combined Armed Services School. Then you're a major, you have Combined General and Staff School. And then one of the last schools that you go to is the Army War College, which you actually earned a master's at that. And that's where it teaches you the strategic level. So once you make colonel, you are actually a strategician, what we call a knight of the realm, because it's very humbling and honoring to get to that point in time to be a colonel. So the military had a huge part on having me stay on task, having me look, having me identify if I'm going to do a certain part of the business, how does that affect the growth of the business? How does it affect the customer base? And how does it affect the bottom line, which is obviously the revenue stream? So it makes you think of everything. I had a very, very detailed spreadsheet that I put together. Initially, just like the military, you know, sign a lease at this day, so it'd be D-Day would be the lease signing day, and D+60, I'd have to have a list of things done, D+90, and then as I get closer to opening, I'd switch those to dates. So following a timeline event, very structured, helps get the business open. We opened up Stone Church Brewing. It was a shoe store when we took it over in Dos Lagos, and we turned it into a brewery in less than 6 months, which is unheard of. So, but a lot of it has to do. One of the questions is, you know, the tidbits, and knowing somebody on, you know, in the city, whether it's staff or one of the council people, really does help a lot. It really does.
How do you deal with employees? You're serving alcohol. What do you do with minors and that type of thing? And repeat the question, please.
Basically, how do we handle the serving of alcohol and the minors? So anybody that owns a business knows that it's very, very regulated, especially the alcohol industry. So we have 3 locations. Each location has a different license. So our location in Corona is considered technically we're technically a manufacturer because we do produce beer. Because we're a manufacturer, minors are allowed in there, obviously with their parents, but they're allowed to hang out and enjoy while they play games and things like that while their parents are there. In Temecula, it is considered a bar, so we went through the conditional use process and transferred it over to a bar because I was losing a lot of clients because we would get groups of women that come in. It's a big, huge bachelorette area down there, and most women do enjoy wine, but we were losing that clientele, so we switched it over. As soon as that license switched to beer and wine, minors were no longer allowed. Now we're in Riverside. That's a 3rd different type of license because it's a beer and wine license with food, so minors are allowed. So, did that answer your question? Or?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We're gonna let him get by. Yes. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, why is there such a demand for microbreweries over the last, say, 15 years?
It's a very, very unique. Why is there a demand? I'm going to hit myself on the head, you know. The question was, why is there a demand for microbreweries? Because it's a very unique product. There's not one brewery that brews the same beer as another brewery. So you could give the breweries the same recipe, but they're not going to have the same water. They're not going to have the same equipment. They're not going to have the same people brewing the beer. So no matter what it is, there's going to be slight differences or major differences depending on who's brewing, where it's being brewed on that. And that's one of the reasons I love going to microbreweries because, you know, you can go to a supermarket and get a major brand beer anywhere in the world, but you can't go to, you know, going to these breweries is a very unique thing. And for me personally, going to breweries when I travel takes me to different neighborhoods. So I'll park the car and I'll walk and go, I didn't know this neighborhood was here. Well, I didn't know this restaurant was here. So I actually, in my opinion, the way I do it generates more for the local economy and brings people to different areas that would not have gone there otherwise. So I think there's about 8,000 breweries, I believe, in the United States right now. There's 1,000 breweries alone in California, with Sierra Nevada being our biggest one. So.
Bill, how did you finance your first brewery?
How did I finance the first brewery? That's a good question. Friends and family, because trying to get a loan through the bank wasn't going to happen. Banks will not loan you any money for some reason. Once you're successful, the flood of offers comes in like it's just a torrent of rain. So a lot of it was friends and family. I guaranteed anybody that loaned us money at 10% annual return rate. I said, we may fail in the first year, but I'll pay you back, because I was working at the time, so they knew. And to be honest, there was no issue of anybody I asked for money, pretty much wrote over checks. They had a lot of confidence. We had one of those we were dumb enough to buy a timeshare, and we sold that at a substantial loss. We went overboard on all our personal credit cards, and then I tapped into my wife's parents to get that going. First it was 10, then at 20, then about $50,000 later. So that's how we financed the first one. The second location was financed with the help of my wife's parents again, but through the bank. And the third location was completely self-financed with business revenue. So we saved up enough. We were fortunate enough to get the PPP. We used a lot of it to pay off loans, but then we also saved a substantial amount to reinvest. So this third location was completely self-financed without the assistance of the bank. So.
Is this business open to franchising, or have you ever considered franchising?
I get that question a lot.
Which is what?
Oh, hold on. I'm going to do this. Now I might remember to repeat the question. Is Stone Church open to franchising? Not at this point. We're doing the very slow growth things. We're not there. I haven't perfected everything yet. We are 6 years in, and we just had we trained our staff for beer tasting, so they're pretty good. And we had a beer just earlier this week in Temecula that the color changed on it, and they noticed it, so we had them pull the keg. And so until we have zero defect issues, we're not going to consider anything, because the quality of the beer has to be consistent throughout. And we do test. One of the first things we did was invest in testing equipment for the back room. So we have a substantial amount of money on the backside that tests everything. So when we clean it, we clean a tank, we sanitize the tank and clean it, we actually test it. So it's almost like you put a dish in the dishwasher or a glass, you can take it out and see if it's clean or not. With a brewery equipment, you can't do that. It has to be very scientific. So we bought an instrument, we clean it, we sanitize it, we get in there with a swab, and we swab very hard to reach places to ensure that it is clean. If it comes up above a certain reading level, then we clean it again, because any bacteria, any scratch will affect the quality of the beer. So, does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions?
I got one for you.
Anybody besides Mark? Go ahead.
He's got one.
No, go ahead.
Good.
Yeah, save it right in time. I was curious, in this current business age and the strange things, I guess, that have been happening the last year, what have been some of the biggest challenges that you guys as a business had to face?
That's actually another good question. So what are some of the challenges that we had while being in business? I would actually have to say COVID. I know COVID threw a curveball at every business out there. And it's true, you know, when you're given lemons, make lemonade, and we bent over backwards. I did everything possible to ensure that we followed every single rule according to what the Department of Health was putting out, and the mandates that were going out there. It was funny because when they came up with the 6 feet distance, I think it was the next day I'd gotten painter's tape and I marked off 6 feet. And my wife's like, "What are you doing?" I go, "They said 6 feet." She goes, "Why would you do that?" I said, "Honey, trust me." And then all of a sudden everybody's marking off 6 feet to do that. I think as painful as it was, following the rule, we were fortunate that following the rules helped us out quite a bit to get through. There was a point in time in June of 2020, we were going to shut down. A lot of people didn't know that because I put so much money into the business, getting a second location open up, and when it came to the point where we could only sell cans, that I thought that was going to kill us. And So we were about $900 shy of making payroll, and I was not gonna put any money more into the business. So I'm like, okay, if we sell this, we close it down, we'll have enough to pay everybody off, and we'll lose money, but at least we'll pay everybody off. And then the community came out in groves and just buy beer. You know, even people that didn't there, they came to the brewery, they said, we wanna see you succeed, we're just, you know, so they spent a lot of money on cans, and that really helped us get through the system. I think behind the scenes, a lot of people don't know, you know, I did a lot of research on, I had the staff, I know that the CDC had come out with some training videos on how to wash hands, how to keep safe, the wear and tear of masks. And there was like a training thing they had to do for about 15 minutes. Everything was free, so I made sure, I said, hey, you gotta do these 3 training videos before you come back to work, before we open up to the public again, just to make sure that the public was safe and they understood that I, as a business owner, was very serious about it. I mean, if you don't know me, I'm a pretty conservative dude. I'm not a face mask guy. I hate it. But it's for the good of the public. And so everybody has a choice on what they want to do. And I made sure that we had a couple customers make comments on masks, and I made sure that the staff knew that everybody has a choice, and there's probably underlying reasons why they're doing it, but we are a business and we're there to support everybody's individuality and what they want to do. So it was a huge curveball that was thrown at us. A lot of money was spent. I don't know if you guys have been to the brewery, but we expanded in the parking lot. And, you know, I did the research, and the tent I threw up, you know, cost me 3 times as much as it should have, because I made sure it was fire retardant tent. So I could have had an $800 tent, but it turned out to be a $2,400 tent to ensure it had the right safety ratings on it. So everything we did was for the safety of the consumer and our customers. There's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes to ensure we were successful on that. I put a lot of plants out there. I put a pond. My wife and business partner were like, why are you putting a pond? I go, why would you want to drink in a parking lot? Let's put a pond out there, make it look fun, make it look interesting. So it was a lot of money that went into it, but it also turned out, COVID was actually very good to us because we were smart about how we got the assistance and the loans. We applied for the grants, did everything. And the fact now that businesses, you know, like Corona is very supportive of us being a move into the parking lot as a permanent patio, which what you see now is not what you're gonna see next year, because we're gonna build it out, make it a deck, and look very, it's gonna look like Orange County out there when we're done, so.
I know Mark wants to ask the last question, so.
Anybody else have a question besides Mark? Go ahead, Mark.
I just want to, you've created a community in a way that you more than just a brewery, and how have you done that?
I was going to say that's a good question, but no, it isn't. It's just...
What's the question again?
How the brewery became somewhat of a community since we've opened up. I think a lot of it is just the passion of the owner. I mean, I love beer, I love people, and it was just throughout, since we've opened up day one, I've met so many customers now have become friends, and a lot of them have been to my house, which is weird as a business owner and a customer and consumer to have that kind of interaction. But we do, and there's so many people, great people out there in this town that we've met along the way that are truly genuine. You know, even to this day, new people that come in, you know, I'll be out there 10 o'clock at night picking in chairs, and all of a sudden customers are taking chairs in, and it could be first timers, it could be somebody there for 6 years. And I think a lot of it has to do with just people feeling a sense of belonging. Everybody there is welcome. You know, I'll see how our regulars who've been there since day one, a new person comes in and they just start talking to them right away. So if you go there once or twice, by the time you go the third time, you already know people, so you can go there by yourself and not feel like you're, you know, a loner. So.
Awesome. Good
job. Thank you.
So it's kind of like the Corona cheers, right?
Yeah.
So everyone knows your name. I'm going to bring up our chair for the board of directors, Kim Maybon. She's going to make a small presentation to you, but again, thank you for your service. Thank you for everything you stand for. Please welcome Kim.
Bill. I've attended your Amber Waves of Graham event. It's a great event. Every year, our chairman of the board gets to select a theme for the year. And last year, Don Williamson chose Make History. We definitely made history last year. Coming into this year, I chose the theme of creating vision. And I wanted to make sure that business owners could think outside the box and create new vision and new ideas to face all the challenges that we had. So every year we issue a challenge coin that has the theme logo on one side and the chamber logo on the other. So I'd like to present that to you.
One other thing, to be honest, and one thing I failed to mention, which is one of the reasons we're here speaking, is we do belong to the chamber. We belong to all three chambers, Riverside, Corona, and Temecula. And Corona with Bobby has just been phenomenal on helping, even
Let me get you some money.
even in other cities. When he found out we were having some issues, Bobby came right up and says, "Let me know, I'll help you out." So luckily I didn't have to use the silver bullet yet. So
Worth yet though.
yeah. So I'll save that for when we really need it. But anyways, thank you guys for all coming in and listening and some great questions that were out there. Made me really rethink everything. So thanks.
We just Let's give a round of applause again. Retired colonel from the Army, American hero and a business owner.
I'm sorry. One more. I would be last in judgment if I didn't say this one thing. Saturday, my daughter goes to UW, and Brad, who owns Skyline Aleworks, his daughter graduated from Oregon. We had a friendly bet. He came to the brewery. The bet was if Oregon won, or if UW won, he'd wear my shirt for 7 days. If Oregon won, I'd wear his shirt for 7 days. He picked a hell of a week to lose.
Let's get this on Facebook a little bit. Right there. Okay? There it is.
There you go. I only have 5 days and 18 hours to go.
And he's a man of his word. So we want to thank you guys for being here today. Remember, next month we have Stacy and her husband. They're going to be doing their talk. You can register now. And I talked about the trips earlier. And Desiree is here, and she is the one that, if any of you are interested in going on those trips. And you know what? It's also her birthday today. So on the count of 3, we're going to wish her a happy birthday. You should come right down here and get really embarrassed. I think you need to come right down front here. Stand here so you can be on Facebook as well. So those that are on Facebook, call 951 Chamber, and you can talk to Desiree all day long. Nothing else to do.
Nothing to do.
So 21 plus. So here we go.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Desiree. Happy birthday to you.
So on behalf of the City of Corona Chamber of Commerce, we want to say thank you again, Bill. Thank you to all of you for being here, for the Facebook team that's out there. Thank you for being part of today. And again, we look forward to seeing if anyone would like to attend on Friday morning. Please RSVP today if possible, okay? Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bill, you did awesome. Thank you.